Bowman here from BWOne. All right, let's just cut the bullshit out of the way. You guys see what the title of this video is. Let's jump right into the news about WWDC and basically how Apple probably put out the biggest copy button they possibly could this year. I got my notes sitting here on my phone. There's a lot to hear to talk about. And some of the things are good that they finally kind of caught up with. And some of the things are like, where have you been? But it's very, very interesting. And I'm going to go kind of run through some of the mostly consumer level things that I'm not really going to go into developer stuff, but the consumer level things that I think matter to most of you out there. So let's go ahead and jump into this. And every time I have sort of a point and it's something that I think we've seen in the past, I'm going to kind of put a little video. I probably have a video on it somewhere. So you see the little I button. It's either you're watching on the website, you'll see it pop up, or within on the mobile page, you'll see some of the extra videos there. That's all just sort of to go with the talking points here. If I point out something I know that's been in other words, and I probably have a video on, I'll probably post it here. So let's first talk about the newest version of Mac OS 10 or OS X, El Capitan or El Capitan. I don't know why I just got El Capitan. Every time I look at it, it says, I want to say El Capitan, not El Capitan. But basically, this has a few extra features such as gestures, some new gestures. I think you can do sort of swiping in the mail app, similar to what you do on iOS. You could pin websites in Safari. We've seen that before. Internet Explorer was doing that with in Windows 7 and Windows 8, and Chrome does a little bit of that as well too. And within Windows, you have the new Mission Control. Basically, Mission Control kind of pops up in the expose, and what you can do now is you can split screen apps. So you can put one app on one side and one app on the other side and have dual apps up at the same time, which is similar to Snap, which we've seen in Windows 7 and in Windows 8, and is definitely in Windows 10 as well too. It's also going to come out in autumn, and basically those are the main features. A lot of under the hood stuff and performance enhancement that they claim that they've kind of added here with it, but realistically, in the end of the day, it's a glorified service pack update. Come on, people. I've been saying that the longest time about OS 10 and their updates. When they used to charge for these, I was like, it's just glorified service pack updates. I mean, I don't understand. Like, it takes like, they would brag about 300 new features. Most of it was under the hood enhancements or bug fixes, I think, personally, honestly. And this kind of is more than ever. Like, even the previous version of Yosemite, that was a major change, but this is kind of a minor change to it. I don't think you need a whole developer conference to kind of announce these really simple features here with it. I think this is something they could just roll out an update and say, hey, here's a new update and a couple of different things with it, tag a little press release with it, and be done. But they have to talk about something, so they found some talking points, not much of which I think anyone seriously cares about. But it's nice that these things are in here, though. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that Apple's added these things. Let's take a look here. Apple Watch OS 2 now supports native apps. This new OS that's out. Go watch my Smartwatch is a Bullshit video, and you'll have my feeling about the Apple Watch and smartwatches in general, and that feeling hasn't changed. So watch that, and you'll get sort of what I think about this. All right, next big thing here is iOS 9 is announced, and some of the updates they're talking about here with it. It's a lot of, once again, a lot of under hood things and a lot of like performance enhancements and tweaks and stuff like that they're talking about here with it. But one of the big things is Siri is getting a little bit of an overhaul. It's a little bit smarter. It's got a new UI look element to it. It can do a lot more things proactively. It's basically doing things very similar to what we've seen in Google Now, and we're seeing in Cortana as well too. It's sort of being a smarter digital assistant. So you can see that Apple's sort of responding to that with Siri and trying to give you something similar. It's good. It's supposed to learn basically you a lot better and kind of give you suggestions based upon how your usage is, where you are. So if you're in your car and you're driving home and knows you like to listen to music, it will suggest those things and bring those things up for you to do. If you're at lunch and it knows you go to lunch at a certain time, when you drive past a certain spot and you like to take foodie pics to post on Instagram, it will suggest the lunch spot for you, maybe I guess bring up Instagram as an app to use and sort of do those things there with it. So nothing new. We've seen it similar before. It's been those UIs now, and it's good that I think they've added this. I think this gives iOS even better features with it. So I think it's a good thing that they've done this here, and especially since that's really where every button's going. Really would love to see the first one of these companies to try to sort of integrate, IBM Watson maybe. That'd be one of the smarter digital assistants out there. All right, another big update here is to Maps. The I don't want to say controversial, but the famous Apple Maps, and now it supports transit finally. It's one of the most basic features that you can find in a mapping program. I think even Google Maps did transit first before they actually even did navigation, and now finally, Apple has this. And it's been how many years? 2-3 years now since they released Apple Maps, and this is now finally coming out here. Glad that they have it. It supports most big cities. There's still about 8 cities here in the US. There's a lot more cities out there. Here in Boston, it's not supported. And Boston's huge about transit, so it's really surprising they don't have it here. Have it in New York, San Francisco, I think as well too. I think Chicago's big on transit. I don't think I saw that city listed here. I might be wrong there on that. And they did some international cities as well too. But seriously, why is this out yet? Why is this here yet? I'm glad this is here now. It took them that long. Why isn't it in other cities? A couple of cool things I did like about it is it'll actually tell you which side of the which side of the street, which entrance you should go into, which I think is actually pretty cool, especially in New York, because New York is a massive transit system, and there are a lot of times I'm walking around and not quite sure which side of the street I'm supposed to be on, which entrance I'm supposed to be on. This will definitely be good for tourists and stuff to kind of help them out there a little bit. So nice that they've added that feature to the maps. Another big thing here, mostly on the iPad side of things, is that they now support multitasking natively. Finally, we have split screen multitasking and picture-in-picture mode as well too. Features that we've seen as far as on the mobile side of things since really the Galaxy Note 2. Samsung's been putting that on their tablets for a little while now, three going on 4 years now. They're putting on their tablets and on their Note series and on the smartphones. Galaxy phones have it now as well too, and even LG's had similar features like this as well for a long time. And it's good to see Apple has added this. I think it's more a reaction. Honestly, it's multitasking reaction. I think it's honestly more because of Microsoft and how well the Surface has been doing. The Surface Pro 3, Surface Pro 3, yeah, I always say Surface 3 Pro sometimes, but Surface Pro 3 rather has sold quite a bit more than I think a lot of people expected. It's actually profitable. Surface is now profitable for Microsoft, and I think those commercials and ads running against the iPad and sort of going against them about multitasking has sort of affected their bottom line a little bit in iPads here. So I think they kind of tapped out a little bit. So adding some of these multitasking features, I think is something key they should really add. Although you're still going against a full-blown operating system versus a mobile operating system, so there's still a limitation on what apps you can add and how much multitasking you can really do. So, I'm still waiting for Apple to get their OSs to be ubiquitous, all one OS and everything. I'm waiting to combine OS X and iOS. I really would like them to just call iOS across the board. I mean, you have your desktop version, your iPhone, and then your tablet version as well too. It's the one OS that works for everything. We have Windows 10 doing that. Microsoft's coming out with that. That's going to be a big thing. Where's Apple in the competition with that? We don't really see that even with Google, with Android and with Chrome not really doing that. Microsoft's coming out big. Where are you at, Apple, with this? You really need to get on the ball before, so I think it's going to be too late there for you. So that's a couple of the things there that we have as far as iOS 9. Some decent updates. Once again, it's like small incremental updates. Something I don't know if they needed a really big press conference. They would look like they were trying to struggle to find a lot of things here to say. Now, I think the big thing out of what they've kind of announced here is finally they're getting into streaming music service with Apple Music. It's going to launch on June 30th. It's kind of them rebranding Beats Music, but putting it sort of the Apple-esque on it here. It's going to have, unlimited streaming. It's going to have, albums and things of that nature. It's going to have a 24-hour radio station that's supposedly a live radio station driven by humans. Yeah, that's not the first ones to do that. I'm really skeptical how well that's going to work out. I mean, I remember if you watch some of our videos on this channel about Slacker Radio is doing a lot of similar things to this in the past before, so be interesting to see how they kind of do this. I think it'll still be somewhat automated in a way, but with more human control probably is what we'll see here with it. It's going to be coming out, like I said, June 30th. It's going to be $10 a month, which I think is a very good price for it. It competes right alongside Spotify and Google Google Play Music. I think those are really one of the two biggest a lot of people use out there for streaming music. I think that's pretty good. You're going to have also unlimited storage upload files, which is something that Spotify doesn't have, but Google Music has. So that's kind of nice to see them that they've included that. There's going to be a Mac and Windows client, of course, iOS as well too, and then Android is going to be coming later in the fall. And I think it's the funniest thing in the world that the first Android app Apple's essentially going to make is the music, which is what a lot of people before Google Play Music asked that had iTunes really wanted to use on Android. So I think that's kind of interesting now that Apple's going to be pretty much in that game, putting out an Android application there. So it's also going to be headed to Apple TV as well in the fall as well too. So you're going to sort of see it on there. I think, like I said, I think this is actually a good play from them to put this music service out there, because while Spotify dominates, it's still not clear who's going to really dominate in the end of the day of all this, who's going to be really the big three out there. So I think them coming out now is pretty good. This puts a lot of hot water on Microsoft, however, because they nearly need to come out with a service. You got to remember, really, this streaming service, unlimited kind of offering, is something Microsoft did years ago with the Zune Marketplace essentially did this. You get a Zune pass for $10 a month and do this specific thing. I actually had that when I was rocking a Windows phone for a while, and I was using a Zune, and then I had the service, and it was one of the best services to have. You know, streaming, you know, through 4G LTE really wasn't out there yet, but you could still download as much music as you wanted on. You got free songs. It was really a cool service. So I really would like to see Microsoft sort of bring that back to compete against the Apple and Google's of the world in terms of streaming music service, and Spotify as well too. So that's pretty much it for WWDC. Not a whole lot, I think, in terms of great announcements. I think some of the stuff was pretty good, but it's a lot of small software. This is a developer conference. This is really more of the things they were talking about with Swift and the Apple Health Kit and HomeKit, the automation stuff. It's a little bit more important, more on the developer side of things. Is what is kind of made their forte, sort of ignite development, of course. But on the consumer side of things, it was definitely lacking. But let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think about WWDC 2015 here? Do you think Apple hit the big copy button and copied everything? Are you glad that they brought these features in? Do you think they're being innovative in somewhere? I don't know, you're living under a rock maybe when you're thinking that, but definitely post your comments below and let me know what you think. And always remember to live your tech world in high definition. Thanks for watching.